The laughter hit me first. Sharp, expensive, and careless. It came from the poolside, where my wife stood under the glowing amber lights, her hand resting on the arm of a man whose suit probably cost more than my car. I watched her tilt her head back, that same laugh she once saved for me. The one that used to mean something. The music thumped low, the smell of champagne and expensive perfume thick in the air. I tightened my grip around my glass, the condensation slick against my palm. She didn't see me yet. Maybe if I turned away right then, I could have pretended she wasn't leaning in closer to him, whispering something that made him grin like he'd just won. But I didn't. Couldn't. "Evan. You came," she said when she finally spotted me, her tone overly bright, like she'd just been caught sneaking candy before dinner. "Yeah," I managed. "You said this was your co-worker's party." Her smile faltered for just a second before she grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the man. "This is Thomas. He owns the company that just acquired ours." Thomas extended his hand. Confident, polished, practiced. His grip was firm, eyes scanning me quickly like he was assessing property value. "Good to meet you, Evan. Your wife's been telling me you're in architecture." "Freelance," I said. "Mostly home redesigns." "Ah," he said, his smirk subtle but heavy. "So, creative but not corporate." He turned back to her before I could answer. They shared a look. Tiny, private one. Like I wasn't standing right there. Something inside me cracked, small and quiet. She'd been distant lately. Texts left unanswered, late nights blamed on team deadlines. Laughter that faded the moment I entered the room. I'd convinced myself it was just stress. That love could outlast silence. But watching her now, bathed in the glow of a man who didn't know her favorite coffee or how she hated rainy mornings, I started realizing I'd been wrong. As the night dragged on, I tried to blend in, to act normal. The conversations around me were all wealth and success and meaningless noise. I kept my eyes on her though, how she leaned closer when he spoke, how her hand brushed his arm, how he never missed a chance to touch her back. My stomach twisted every time she smiled. At one point, Thomas lifted his glass and said something I couldn't hear. Everyone laughed except me. Then, as if to prove a point, he pulled a crisp dollar bill from his wallet, twirling it between his fingers. "To luck," he said, his voice loud enough to carry. "Sometimes you don't need it when you can afford everything else." He tossed the bill into the pool. People cheered. My wife laughed. And something inside me stopped pretending. I walked outside, the air heavy with humidity and betrayal. The reflections of the pool lights shimmered on the water's surface, the dollar bill floating there like a cruel joke. I stood at the edge, watching it drift, cheap paper surrounded by luxury. She joined me a few minutes later, her heels clicking softly on the stone path. "Evan," she said, her voice cautious. "You just walked off. What's wrong?" I turned to her. "You tell me." She blinked, pretending confusion. "You're being weird. It's just a party." "Is that what this is?" I said quietly. "A party. Because from where I'm standing, it feels like an audition." Her jaw tightened. "You're overreacting." I laughed, bitter and hollow. "You think I don't see it? The way you look at him. The way he looks at you like he's already decided you're his next acquisition." Her lips parted, but no words came. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "You used to hate men like that. You said they treated people like transactions." She looked away. "Maybe I'm tired of always being broke, Evan. Of worrying every month if we can cover rent. He offers stability." There it was. Simple. Brutal. I stared at her, realizing she wasn't the woman I thought I knew. Or maybe she was, and I just ignored the signs. "Stability," I repeated. "So you'll trade love for money?" Her eyes softened, regret flickered, but only for a heartbeat. "Love doesn't pay bills." The silence between us was suffocating. I turned toward the pool again, where the dollar bill still floated, mocking me under the lights. Thomas appeared behind her then, his hand settling casually on her waist. "You ready to go?" he asked her, not even looking at me. She hesitated, but only for a second. Then she nodded. That tiny motion destroyed me. I wanted to scream, to demand an explanation, to make her see what she was doing. But what was the point? You can't compete with someone who's already decided you're not enough. Thomas smirked at me as they turned to leave. Just before walking away, he reached into his pocket, pulled out another dollar bill, and tossed it toward me. It fluttered in the air before landing at my feet. "For the ride home," he said. I didn't move, didn't speak. I just watched them disappear into the night, her laughter echoing faintly against the marble walls. For a long time I stood there, staring at that dollar bill. The same symbol of everything that had broken tonight. Value, worth, and how easily both could be bought. I picked it up finally, feeling the wet paper stick to my fingers. It smelled like chlorine and humiliation. Could have thrown it back. Could have shouted. But instead, I folded it carefully and slipped it into my pocket. A reminder, not of her betrayal, but of what I'd lost trying to prove I was enough. As I walked away, the music faded behind me, and I realized something painful but freeing. She hadn't just left with another man. She'd left herself behind too. And for the first time in months, I didn't chase after her.